welcome back to a new episode of Anthropological Afternoon, where I invite interesting guests and show you the fascinating world of cultural studies. Today we're going to talk about clothing norms in South Korea. And if you guys don't know, I'm Barbara, so let's dive into today's episode. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, hey everybody, so having me here. My name's Imaan, I'm from the UK, and I'm currently an exchange student at PNU.
Nice, that's so exciting. So let's dive right into our topic today, since that was something that did quite surprise you when you came to Korea, didn't it?
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised because people dress very well here.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I thought like when I first came, I thought that there was an event on campus or something because everybody was like dressed up all of the time. And like at first and then my initial thought was like Koreans were kind of vain.
Yeah.
Because you know like in Europe people don't dress up unless they're going somewhere. But then I thought like, you know, that's a bit ethnocentric of me to think that way. So I was like, let me just do some research to like why it's different here.
Yeah, I can definitely see where your interest is coming from. You also told me that a friend of you had like a not so nice experience with clothing norms in the subway. Would you like to share that with our listeners?
My roommate was like on the train with some friends, and like one of them speaks Korean quite well, which is like how they found out. They were wearing like tops with a spaghetti strap, so like you could see their shoulders. And some of the Korean girls on the train were basically talking to each other and saying that they would dress like sluts.
No!
Yeah.
That must have been so uncomfortable for your roommate.
Yeah.
So apparently it's not quite like in Korea to show like your cleavage or your shoulders. Did you find something similar in this survey you did? Let's maybe switch to it. You did a survey. Do you want to expand a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so we sent a survey out to some of the students at PNU. And they basically were saying that they didn't really feel restricted in the way they dressed, which is like probably contributed to like the reason why they felt that they could dress the same way on and off campus. If they did receive comments about their clothes, they were mostly positive. What was surprising that was that most respondents felt that men had more restrictions on what they could wear than women did. It was like really interesting. But like a lot of a few people did talk about women, and it was mostly to do with like modesty, like not showing too much, but
like classics.
Yeah, but it was really like only one or two people. But like with the men, most of the restrictions were about dressing in like feminine ways, like wearing tight clothes, like wearing skirts, dresses, makeup, a lot of jewelry, like that type of thing, which was really interesting. But yeah, the overall opinion of the students is that the restrictions were stronger in their parents' generation than they are now.
So it they also saw a change.
Yeah.
I saw that one person was saying that G-Dragon dresses inappropriately.
Yeah.
So in case of some of you listeners don't know him, he's a K-pop artist, and here's some pictures of his fits.
Yeah, like clothing is like quite an important part of self-image formation, and like it represents individuals, their identity, their attitude, like their self-worth. And with G-Dragon, it's quite difficult to distinguish whether his clothes are like masculine or feminine.
Yeah, he's wearing skirts.
Yeah, he does that quite a lot, and like so his style kind of represents like a genderless fashion. Like you said, like he wears skirts, lace, mesh, that kind of thing quite freely. And like as I said in last survey results, like a lot of people felt that men shouldn't dress in such a feminine way.
You also don't really see it on the streets.
Yeah, you don't really see it on the streets like at all.
So maybe they're just not quite comfortable with breaking up like this gender stereotypes yet.
Yeah, like Nilo Nanjoro has a theory about gender. So basically they say that the difference between men and women is like an essential difference, and in Korea it feels like clothing is one of those ways that they maintain that difference. Yeah,
that's interesting. Thank you for sharing your findings, but you did not only do the survey, you also did some interviews, so maybe we'll just dive right into that.
So we did manage to interview a few of the PNU students who are comfortable to be on camera. We asked them a few questions. Like we first asked them if they felt that there were any restrictions when it came to dressing.
Korea, there is a underlying agreement. There is not like a restriction written down, and it's not a restriction that has been said, but it's kind of like it's not spoken rule, but that most people dress relatively covered.
Like people should not reveal one's body and skin.
Showing too much skin in like public space can be some problem because someone don't like it.
I think it's hard to wear really unique clothes, very bright colors.
Well, I'm wearing really bright yellow right now, and it's not a color that guys would normally wear?
Yeah, I can say it's kind of pressure to like wear certain colors of clothes, I think, because most of Korean guys dress in mostly black colors.
They also ask more specifically about gender-based restrictions.
Seems to be implicitly defined to wear clothes to fit TPO.
It's okay for guys to, like wear really baggy clothes like me, but it's kind of hard to see girls wearing baggy clothes or...
It's more soft restriction is more soft to men's.
I heard some parents who have a daughter, like they are not really strict, but just make for fun. Like they don't wear too short.
My mom would not often, but sometimes she would say, Grace, I don't think that outfit is appropriate for what you're going to do, like during the day.
When I was a student, teachers told me a lot. Skirt is too short, like wearing a mono color, like black or white inside a shirt.
Yeah, when I was like in elementary school, I wore skinny jeans, and my friends told me that, like, why are you wearing them?
I wear purple half pants.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends say, "Hey, what's that?"
That was very interesting, all these opinions, yeah.
Yeah, and then we also wanted to know if they felt that the social norms had changed over time.
Like you discovered in the survey.
Yes.
In the past, we do have like that kind of perception, like women should hide their body and not expose too much. But like these days, going to like Western way, so they're feeling like free to expose as much as they want.
There's been a lot of influx of Western culture, so I don't think in the modern society, like right now, there are set restrictions.
I heard that many parents like told them like not to wear to like revealing your skin like that, but nowadays it's not. Yeah.
You know, the trends in Korea are really fast, changes really fast. So the advantages of it, I can wear anything.
So, thank you for these interesting insights into young Korean people's thoughts. Let's take a moment and summarize what we found so far. So everyone is on the, everyone can.
We found that there weren't as many restrictions for women's clothing as we first thought. But there are restrictions on what men can wear, like as we said earlier, that men are expected to dress in ways that are more masculine, especially like not in a feminine way. We also noticed that, like from observation, that Koreans tend to dress, like they tend to look more put together, like their clothes are clean, they're wearing sets, like their hair's done, like their nails are never in a shabby state. So it kind of like, we got the impression that like having a good appearance is like basic social etiquette. The positive comments that our survey respondents received also seemed to like reflect these observations. We did notice that the interviewees had a bit more of like a home blindness. They felt that there was no restrictions on how they can dress, but then they would go on to list restrictions on how they can dress. So it was a bit interesting.
They're probably very internalized already.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I am also quite surprised by the finding, because I had this picture in my head of young Koreans who are pressured to look and therefore dress a certain way to just fit in, but it seems like that this is completely outdated.
Yeah, I think outdated is a good word for that, since like, you know, around the turn of the century, like there was a lot of researchers coming, like Chung, and I'm saying it wrong, Pysarchik?
Oh yeah.
Pysarchik, sorry, found that like young Koreans felt like a lot of pressure to comply with group norms regardless of like their personal opinion. And like Lee and Green explained that like saving face is really important in like to young Koreans, like they care about other people's impression and like they want to manage their personal status. So like your opinion would have been around like 15 to 20 years ago.
Oh, so you think it is changing then?
Yeah, like if you like look at like the responses we got from the students, I would say there is something changing. Like young Koreans are more confident in expressing themselves through their clothes. Like it's not as if the social expectations or like pressure has gone away. I just feel like the younger generation feels like less pressured.
Yeah, I could see that from the answers, and also some of them said that they are changing their clothes when they're meeting family members.
Yeah, because there is obviously like most things is a generational gap.
Yeah.
So the older generation still like expects the younger generation to dress that way, and the younger generation just cares less.
So they won't like please their families.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting development. I had this theory pop into my head. Are you familiar with the stage theory by Goffman?
I am, but maybe your listeners aren't.
So just to get you guys on board, he suggested in his theory that social interaction are performances of ourselves, and they can be on 3 different stages. The front stage, where you have like the most social expectations when you're, I don't know, in school, and backstage when you're with your friends and feel more comfortable, and offstage when you're basically alone. So people are flexible in who they are depending on the audience they are around, and as I said, in front stage is like the social pressure to fit is like the hardest. So would you say that Koreans are more themselves on the front stage now? Or
I would agree. I feel like they feel like they could be more themselves, more of their true self when they're performing on the front stage now.
Like without pressure, like that many pressure. That is very interesting. Since our time is sadly running out, I think it's a great segment to end on and close this episode. So thank you so much, Imaan, for being our guest today, and I really enjoyed talking to you, and I am sure you guys did too.
Thank you for having me here.
Have a good time in Korea, and to your community, I hope you tune in again next week when we are going to talk about the perfect way how to do fieldwork. So till then, stay curious.